On Saturday, the U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton on her visit to Saudi Arabia attended the first Strategic Cooperation Forum between the U.S. and Gulf Cooperation Council. The 6 countries comprising the Gulf Cooperation Council are Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain and Oman. This is Boris Volhonsky, Senior Research Fellow, Russian Institute for Strategic Studies. The most important outcome of the session on Saturday was the decision to establish a common missile defense shield against Iran. Now the issue is really worth looking deeper into. At first sight, establishing a missile defense shield in the Gulf area seems at least a little bit more logical than establishing a similar shield in Poland, Czech Republic, Romania or elsewhere in Eastern Europe. That is, if the shield is really targeted at a possible threat coming from Iran. On the other hand, the decision to launch such kind of a shield at this particular moment, when it is Iran's turn to be scared of a possible attack, be it from the US or from Israel, breaks the above logic. But the logic is restored when we look at the problem from another angle. In fact, for any unbiased outside observer, it became clear a long time ago that the real purpose of the whole US activity around Iran is not aimed at diverting any kind of threat, either nuclear or missile. The real purpose is a regime change, and this explains both the US's desire to overthrow Iran's last remaining ally, the Assad regime in Syria, and the close relationship with the Gulf monarchies. Against the background of the US crackdown on Mr. Assad, Mrs. Hillary's references to democracy at the Saturday's forum seem ridiculous. Ms. Clinton expressed regret about the United Arab Emirates raid on the offices of several foreign pro-democracy groups, including a US organization, the National Democratic Institute. Also, if we remember the events of spring 2011 in Bahrain, when the ruling Sunni regime launched a bloody crackdown of Shiite protesters, the case went almost unnoticed in the US. The reason was that Bahrain serves as one of the most important bases for the US Fifth Fleet. Definitely other Gulf monarchies can hardly be called exemplary democracies, but it's okay with the US when it comes to protecting them against Iran. The question is, who is to benefit? On the one hand, it gives the US new opportunities for selling their weapons to the stalwarts of democracy in the Gulf region, but on the other hand, one cannot get rid of the impression that the whole wave of the so-called revolutions in the Middle East, initiated in Tunisia in December of 2010 and having Iran as its ultimate aim, serves the interests of only one geopolitical player in the region, that is Saudi Arabia with its satellites. And this explains why the regime changes in several Arab countries where the revolutions succeeded have not led to a triumph of democracy, but rather to a triumph of Islamists. This explains why, stirred up by the radical Sunni regime in Saudi Arabia, the West is so preoccupied with picking on Shiite Iran and trying to overthrow the Alawi-dominated regime in Syria. The only thing Ms. Hillary and the US administration are not taking into account is the fact that playing with such willful players can backfire in an unpredictable way. Just to remind you, when the nationalities of the 9/11 hijackers were revealed, it turned out that 15 out of 19 were Saudi nationals, with 4 others coming from United Arab Emirates, Egypt and Lebanon. Yet the US preferred to soft-pedal the issue, choosing instead a mythical Al-Qaeda and the unfortunate Taliban as the main culprits. It should also be remembered that Al-Qaeda was created by the US as a tool against the Soviets in Afghanistan in the 1980s. Now the US seems to be going for the same mistake, arming a temporary ally that has all the prerequisites for turning the arms in an unpredicted direction.